Sup, guys? How's it going today? I'll be your host again, AC, accompanied by...
Who that boy? Who him is? Oh, it's Corey.
Oh, hi.
Live in Snide Studios in the lovely, almost said Universal Studios in Orlando, Florida. But no, we're in the New River Valley here. And that's where we'll start our news today. Unless you want to get anything personal. I know right now we're not going to be as topical. We're throwing this one in the can, so who knows when it'll debut.
Hopefully by this point I'll have finished the floor.
Oh, that's right. You're doing like a bunch of renovations. Tell us about the renovations.
So we're putting down some flooring, which we're doing vinyl plank, which is a little bit easier than hardwood, but it is still such a pain. If you've never done it, get help if you decide to do it.
Yeah, luckily you got Nikhil, who's kind of handy. And so, yeah, I know you guys have worked on like lots of projects together.
Oh, yeah.
Uncle Nick, shouts out. And so hold on. There was carpet, right? There was carpet before.
Yeah, there's carpet in the bedrooms that we cut up, pulled out, and then me and him did the first bedroom, our daughter's room. Right now, I'm pretty much doing the second bedroom, our son's bedroom, by myself, and kind of he's giving me some pointers and stuff while I'm doing it.
Okay.
But man, I'm telling you what, lining up those first 3 rows.
Yeah, because it's one of those things where it's kind of like if you ever like install a toilet, like you got to get it right the first time. If you don't,
then you got to
like
redo the whole
strip
thing.
it.
Yep. Because you got to get all those corners to match up, and then as you're putting the pieces together, they gotta lock in just right. And if there's even a slight little caddy in it, it'll follow that throughout. And then by the time you get to that last row where you have like a millimeter off, you'll have like a whole inch off down there. So
it's just this exposed underneath, man.
And I mean, if you don't get them snapped in there,
just like just old like wood was
yeah,
underneath.
subflooring.
Subflooring. That's right. That's what's called. Yeah, and then okay,
which is essentially like press board.
Right. Yeah. It's like some plywood type shit.
Yes.
Wow. Well, I wish you the best of luck, man. And yeah, hopefully by the time this drops, that'll be ancient history. You'll be like, oh yeah, that fucking time I had to. Yeah.
Don't worry, I'm gonna, as I finish some of it up, gonna keep up with it with antical videos on my own channel. So there'll be some updated stuff going on there if it hasn't already dropped by this point.
Cool. Very cool. Very cool. All right. Yeah, so I don't really have any updates on this side. I mean, there was the video processing fiasco. This is like, as we're recording it now towards the end of October, and my channel, I had some, my last unboxing in the can, put that out, and then been trying to process this, the hiking video that just dropped, and it totally took over my RAM for like 2 weeks. I realized I need to upgrade the RAM in that thing. I mean, it's working on like 7-year-old processor, so hopefully as well in my world by the time this drops, that will be ancient history, and I'll be like, oh yeah, back when I didn't have enough RAM. Yeah,
it's amazing how 7 years makes one hell of an impact.
Yeah. Oh shit. I mean, every year, with Moore's law, like you constantly, shit just doubles every year. So processing power, and then your prerequisites for using that processing power. This is thrilling stuff. So let's actually get into some legit
nitty gritty.
Yeah, we're going to sort of start closer and move our way excuse me, we're going to start closer and then sort of move out, like zoom out.
So essentially we're going to be starting closer to home, and starting to move away,
which is sort of becoming the normal way we do the news here, or commentary on the news topics. But it's also going to get progressively spookier Staying in line with the Halloween spirit right now. I got some paranormal type shit, but the first few things are not very spooky. So, the Christiansburg Trail System is to be extended, which I'm super excited about. If you live in the area, the Huckleberry is a go-to for just, especially now, getting out. Roanoke, you got the Greenway, which they've extended over the years. So I'm excited to see where it's all connecting. So Christiansburg finished the bridge that connects Mill Lane at the Aquatic Center to the existing loop trail at Depot Park. Okay, so that's what all that was. Okay.
Okay. Yep.
That's like behind the Krogan.
Yes.
The Krogster. So they finished that. So hold on. Connect the trail and bridge with the Huckleberry, but also the future Cambria Trail. Now that is exciting.
There we
I used
go.
to live down in Cambria, and we had to walk on the road or walk on the train tracks. And for the longest time, we were like, these train tracks aren't active. They were.
Yeah, they were. They very much were. Yep.
I mean, not the main train tracks, but the ones through Cambria. You never see anything on. But one day we saw someone slowly backing up some machinery, and it scared the shit out of our dog, and now she hates construction equipment. So that's super exciting. And next, this is one you brought here today, which I find fascinating. What's all this about?
Okay. Yeah, this is Burger King's new initiative, I guess.
Initiative. They're going green.
Kind of. But they want to start eliminating some of their waste. And instead of going more recyclable, what they're doing is more reusable. So basically, the boxes that you get your burgers in are now going to be more sturdy material so that you can now reuse those packaging.
Yeah, which whenever I go and get Chinese food, this is what it looks like, folks. The packaging, it very much reminds me of Dr. Pepper, right? It kind of looks like a Dr. Pepper can.
Yeah, that color, very much so.
And it's like one of those coffee sip cups, and you got it looks like a foldable burger container, but it looks more substantial. It looks too substantial. Hopefully it's microwavable.
I would hope so,
Or
considering.
Because if I'm going to take it home and reuse it, I mean, shit, I don't want that logo flaking all over my shit. I don't want a bunch of fucking microplastics and nanoplastics in my fucking gut,
Yeah,
They say
brings us back to the aspartame thing we were talking about before.
Right.
Just
Shout
inject
out.
some of this right into
callback. It's a callback. Yeah. I mean, I'm split on it. Hopefully that will be recyclable, right? Hopefully that's a number one or number
Now, wouldn't
two.
that be something? They come out with a reusable container and it not be recyclable. The whole point was to eliminate waste.
Exactly, and it's look, I myself and my partner Ranger Rebecca, we keep all that shit, but we're hoarders, so of course we keep all that shit. And it's not everyone's going to do that. Most people are just going to chuck it like they would the plastic or wax paper or drawing a blank paper, cardboard, all that shit.
Or to the wax-coated stuff?
Yeah. They would throw it away. Presumably those same assholes would be throwing this shit away. So that, I hope that's a number one or number two. Sometimes they say it's a number 4 or 5. Around here we can't recycle 4s and 5s. Unfortunately, it's just the 1s and 2s. Used to be single stream, but someone fucked that up around here. So yeah, hopefully. I mean, I'm split because again, with the reusable stuff, you get the microplastics and stuff. It's not good plastic. If it's too good of plastic, it's that shit's going to be there forever. If you eat say you eat at BK every 2 weeks, you're getting 25 containers a year.
Yeah.
And it's what the fuck am I going to do with this? So I don't know. Some biodegradable.
Now, my thing is,
paper would be-
you're going to take this thing home. You're going to go back out. You're going to order yourself a bigger burger. You're going to have to get yourself a bigger container because you're not going to be able to reuse that. But here's the other thing that makes it kind of
True.
strange. It's a reusable container, so you make your order. Now you have to, drive up to the window, give them your reusable stuff. Hopefully you've washed it.
Oh.
And then hopefully, let's just
even-
say presumably COVID's still going on. They drop this. They're going to have to sanitize, wear gloves, all that stuff.
Hold on. So it's reusable in so much as you bring it back there?
Yep, if you read that. They're dropping this thing in,
Oh.
I think parts of Canada, Tokyo,
And
Hong
you'll
Kong.
be charged for it if you don't bring it back. Kind of like if you
Yeah.
if you get like good milk from those glass
Like
jugs.
Homestead Creameries.
Yeah, and if you bring it back, they'll fill it to the top. But if you buy it, if you don't bring it back and you just buy a new one, it's like twice the price because you're paying for that container.
Right, because a lot of times you bring it back, they refund that.
Yeah, this is interesting. So, like you said, yeah, hopefully, like it'll be cleaned. And,
Now that leads me to, okay, so somebody brings it back, and they're no longer going to use it. Are they going to continue using it? Are they going to sanitize, clean, and send it back out there for the public?
yeah,
Does make one wonder, doesn't it?
Yeah, how is this going to work? What is this infrastructure? Speaking of, are orcs racist?
Oh, have you not seen Warcraft?
Warcraft? I'm
Mhm.
talking about Tolkien and Dungeons and Dragons. I didn't even consider Warcraft.
Well, some orcs are very racist.
But is the idea of an orc racist?
Generally?
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah.
that's a good question.
Psychology Today says no, orcs aren't racist.
Okay.
Spoiler. It's been an argument for a while that in like fantasy culture and shit, this is like is the idea of like having different warring races and whether or not this one has like Eastern accoutrement, this one has like this aesthetic, this cultural aesthetic that's been appropriated. Is it racist? Like,
It could be perceived like it, honestly. It really could.
I could see where someone would too. I could see, especially like if you're not familiar with the thing. I've always thought like because Tolkien, it's never really addressed. Like it's never within the world addressed that this is like a different kind of culture. Like the orcs were almost robotic in Tolkien.
Yeah.
They were almost robotic, but then over time, especially in the movies, which you
Mhm.
can't really like compare too much, they become more like primal, and it sort of becomes this thing where they are kind of like almost, they're riding elephants and shit like that, and it's like it's becomes this thing where for the time it probably wasn't really very racist, but now I could see where it would be quote problematic. This article breaks it down to say no, they're not, but this is also a white dude, so I don't really know if he should be the authority on this conversation.
Was it Christopher J. Ferguson?
PhD. Doctor. If you call him Mr. Ferguson, he gets pissed, I bet.
Probably.
I bet he gets real
Excuse me,
privileged
I
real
have
quick.
PhD.
I'm venturing to say that yeah, maybe, because I mean, like if you look at the same time, you had like H.P. Lovecraft, who was open. Tolkien, you never see him say anything about race. These days, again, we're looking at things through the prism of like 2020. These days, it's what is it? You're racist by exclusion, like by not even venturing to get into the topic. That is itself, in a way, racist by just like, I don't want to venture that way. Like you have the privilege of, black people, like immigrants, they don't have the privilege of being like, I don't want to talk about race. It's like put in their face every day, So
Yeah.
you know, I mean, I know you're on the same page with some of this too, but you know, some of the people out there, like they may not really like understand, like, so, you know, we're geeks and stuff. What I always thought was clever when you saw like Elder Scrolls, they called it out within the medium.
Oh, yeah.
Within the medium, the Nords were racist against anything that wasn't a Nord.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so in that, and it's, so, you know, the Nords being like these Aryan type people, like it makes sense that, you know, and they're super like within the thing, you know, within Skyrim, remember, they were almost like the South in the whole thing. And then you had like the Red Guards were very much like North African, Middle East, sort of like, so they call it out within the subject matter to be like, hey, these are stand-ins for these real world issues. Let's talk about them. Let's see where people, you know, you sort of empathize. You join different factions and you're like, oh, I'm getting a whole nother, and you realize, oh, everyone's right and everyone's wrong at the same time.
Right, because it basically shows the it's perception versus, you know, what is and isn't. Yeah.
And there's like, fucking shouts out to Elder Scrolls. I mean, I just love like how like deep that shit gets. Like they're willing to look at the history of everything. Dungeons and Dragons, I don't think so very much, because it's very much, it depends on who's playing. I mean, if you got racist people playing, they're probably going to be making jokes about like, oh, mindless orcs or whatever. Like, you know, so that's my take on the whole thing. This is an interesting article. Again, Psychology Today, Dr. Ferguson here. He brings up interesting points, but I just think they're all slightly less valid because he's speaking from a privileged perspective. So, but yeah, I venture anyone to like who's into geek culture, just at least look at this conversation. It's very much like if you look in the cocktail world at like tiki culture. Yeah. You look at it now, 2020, like this ain't a representation of like Pacific Islands, you know, and for people to be like, I'm drinking a legitimate, like,
no, you're not.
Vacation in a cup. Like, that doesn't mean don't drink tiki shit. Just, you know, call out the fact that this may not be
legit.
Yeah. So I just thought it was just an interesting thing.
It is it's an interesting take, and to be brought out, like, because it's obviously it's a fantasy thing. But to take a real perspective on it as to how it could be taken into the real world, you know, I like that. I think that's cool.
Yeah, and if you're afraid to have these conversations, you're a pussy. Co-signed. Nice, thanks. Oh man, they want me to make an account. I'm sorry, guys. Not now. Maybe another time. MYT. So James Randi. I mean, I don't know the specifics of it. I just wanted to as we venture into the paranormal here, we got to say goodbye to beloved magician and skeptics. If you don't know, most magicians are skeptics. It's part of the whole illusion thing. And that's why a lot of times they're fascinated by paranormal culture, because there is this love of, again, this fantasy of like ghosts and demons and stuff and like traps and stuff. And he did a lot of debunking. He passed away at 92. I forgot what it was about, but you know, he was 92. I mean, you know, he had a long, lovely career. You know, shouts out, man. Rest in peace. Do you know? Are you familiar with James Randi? It's kind of like the what's homie's name? Houdini. He was kind of
like Houdini.
Yeah, he was like a Houdini type for a little bit.
James Randi.
But has with
I would like say I probably would be familiar with him, especially if I saw an image of the guy.
He looked like Alan Moore. Which, speaking of, I'm glad I brought up Alan Moore. We'll get into that later. But yeah, he kind of looked like Alan Moore. He's just bearded dude.
All right, because I dove down into the magician's world there for a while. I was really into it. Of course, you know, you had like David Blaine and
don't forget our boy.
Oh, Mind Freak. Are you ready?
Robert. Fucking Chris Angel. Was his thing that he was an angel or the Antichrist? He was going for something there. He was going for something.
Honestly, I
was all
think he
over
went
the
back and
place.
forth. I think he was
Yeah.
pretty bipolar about the thing, to be
I can
honest.
see that. He was great, man. He was great for a second. But we found out later he did a little bit of not exactly the most ethical. Like, camera tricks don't count. Like,
No.
maybe they counted like in the 60s or something when people were just getting into home videos or something.
Ooh, wow.
Camera tricks, yeah. But now it's like, homie, you turned your DSLR off, you climbed through the thing, and then you turned it back on. That's not a magic trick, man. That's editing. That's editing.
I mean, we did a lot of stuff like that. We could make ourselves disappear like that and then pop back up. I mean,
now everyone's doing that shit, man. Have you seen like where like people jump and then they're like in a different outfit and stuff like that?
yeah.
It's cute.
See, but I mean, regardless, we weren't doing that. They're not doing that to pose as magic. But, you know, he was, and he was trying to be a magician.
Yeah, and you know, he wasn't like David Blaine, man. David Blaine, man.
Well, no, David Blaine just want to stand on every fucking thing.
He wants to stand on everything, sit on everything.
I have been up here for 80 hours. Well, that's cool. When the magic gonna start? Because that ain't magic.
This ain't magic no more, bro. This is endurance training. Have you seen his latest one?
I read something about him. What was it?
He's going up in a balloon. He's going to hold on to
it.
a balloon
And just float.
And float and like get up to like half a mile up there.
And was somebody go shoot it or something? Shoot at the balloons?
Something crazy where it's like, dude, and he's got like he doesn't have like a backup strap. He doesn't have like he's doing it without all this recommended stuff that like you're supposed to do when you do this. And he's like, no harness, no okay, so all his supplies, he's going to have all these balloons, right? And it's all going to look like one big balloon.
Mm-hmm.
He's hanging on by a string,
Mm-hmm.
right? No harness, because if he has any of the shit on him, it's going to mess with the image. The whole thing is he imagined himself floating in the air by a giant balloon holding it, and he's like, it has to look like that. So all the equipment is within the balloon. So when he gets shot down, he's got to grab the chute. He's got to grab an oxygen mask to put on. He's got to grab all this shit, all his emergency supplies. His walkie is up there on the way down. And then hit the thing, make sure everything's strapped to himself, hit the thing, hit the chute on the way down.
I see. Well, good luck.
Ain't magic, bro.
That ain't magic. That's,
That ain't magic.
That's well, that's stupidity is what that is.
Oh my
but
God, it's
he's getting paid real well to be stupid.
mind-boggling.
He's basically a more serious jackass.
Yes, yeah, he's like a classy jackass. He's a classy.
But even them guys figured it out. You know, so we should probably stop doing that.
Yeah, Steve.
Yeah, man, I'm all fucked up. I'm done with that shit, man.
Steve-O's like, he's made a turnaround. He's like
Hell yeah.
a genius now or something. It's weird.
I mean, he's even on an episode of, Gordon Ramsay, the chef. He does Cooking with Friends. And he actually made his way onto an episode of that.
Steve-O did?
Of course, Steve-O brought his own brand hot sauce, poured it in his eyeball, but, you know. Well, Steve-O, I mean, he's got to do something.
He's going to do some stuff. I remember his last big stunt was like he like duct taped himself to a billboard for 2 days or some crazy shit to promote his special. Let me actually pull this up real quick before we get any spook here. Again, rest in peace, James Randi. I mean, I wasn't as familiar with him as like the other guys, but you know, he would come up here and there. So Alan Moore. Oh, let me pull up the story. Again, this is like almost not even topical now. By the time you see this, people might be like, "Oh, I remember when that happened." So Alan Moore, famous curmudgeon, inventor of The Watchmen, V for Vendetta. Shouts out some more. What's some of his other stuff? I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah, yep. As soon as you said V for Vendetta, it all just kind of went mind sweep.
Because that was like the intro for us to the Alan Moore
Yeah.
universe. But yeah, he's done like a lot of amazing, groundbreaking work. His new show, The Show, looks incredible. He's in it. He plays like a ringmaster. He's like a main character in it.
Which is different for him.
He's never acted, but he's like good. You watch the trailer, you're like,
whoa.
What have you been? What? Did you take classes? Like, or maybe he has this acting career that I'm just not aware of. But
I've never seen it. If it is,
yeah, and his whole thing, it's very self-referential to the fact that he's a famous curmudgeon. He's known for he'll publish something 2 years later. He says it sucks, and anyone who likes it sucks. And anytime anyone does an adaptation of what he does, it sucks, and just he hates everyone. And now he's taking it a step farther to say he hates everyone else who makes like. Okay, so here I'm going to quote him. I love this though. Like this is like when you're watching Family Guy or something. Again, if you're watching this, hopefully you have a sense of humor. So if you see something that makes fun of you. Like you see something in a Family Guy or an American Dad and they're making fun of someone and you're like, that's the kind of person I am. I love it. Like
yeah.
Brian Griffin in Family Guy is like a caricature of like pretentious, lazy writers who are opinionated and maybe a little lefty, and like that's me. Anytime they make fun of like some shit that's on like you know, with Brian Griffin, I'm like, oh, that stings, that hurts so good. It's like emotional masochism. I love it. Like, so Alan Moore says, most people equate comics with superhero movies now. That adds another layer of difficulty for me. I haven't seen a superhero movie since the first Tim Burton Batman film. They have blighted cinema, and also blighted culture to a degree. Several years ago, I said I thought it was a really worrying sign that hundreds of thousands of adults were queuing up to see characters that were created 50 years ago to entertain 12-year-old boys. That seems to speak to some kind of longing to escape from the complexities of the modern world and go back to a nostalgic, remembered childhood. That seemed dangerous. It was infantilizing the population. I'm like, yup.
Nailed it though.
There he is. Look, there he is, right there, in the show. So, despite writing some of the most iconic comics of all time, this is from MovieWeb.com. Alan Moore famously has a troubled relationship with both his fan base and the movies made that were based on his work. As I said, like V for Vendetta, Zack Snyder's Watchmen movie, which I thought was fantastic, except that they changed, spoilers, they changed the giant squid into a bomb. And it's just,
yeah.
that's not cool. It's not cool. But if you watch the new show, it retcons that, but it also fits into that universe. And it's as if 5 minutes later, after the bomb and all that, there was a squid. Like, it's great. Like,
well, it's good they fixed something.
It was largely my work that attracted an adult audience. I mean, look at the shit you made, dude.
Right? Yeah.
It was made for adults. Why are you acting like the shit you made was for kids? It was the way that was commercialized by comics industry. There were tons of headlines saying that comics had grown up. But other than that, a couple of particular individual comics really hadn't. This thing happened with graphic novels in the 1980s. People wanted to carry on reading comics as they always had, and they could now do it in public and still feel sophisticated because they weren't reading a children's comic. It wasn't seen as subnormal. You didn't get the huge advances in adult comic books that I was thinking we might have, as witnessed by the endless superhero films. I mean, did you not look at Vertigo? Like, some people did some good grown-up shit. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. His opinion is definitely, I don't know.
Yeah.
A bit harsh.
Yeah, and, I mean, it's like...
For his own medium, too. That's the thing that's killing
his
me,
His own shit. He's, like, drowning his own babies, man. Like, what is... And he's like, The Watchmen was made for, like, 12-year-old boys.
I don't know about that.
There was rape in that book, bro. Like,
there's a big naked blue man.
The big naked... Yeah, like, what are you talking about? But, yeah, it's echoing the same opinions as Martin Scorsese, who said, like, cinema has been infantilized, and, you know, oh, Moore also did Batman the Killing Joke. Like, you can't tell me that was for children, dude. Like, and he was like, and now he's saying like, oh, well, that was supposed to pressure other people to put more mature stuff out there. It worked. Did you? I was about to say, did you not see Logan? But of course he did. He hasn't seen a superhero movie since '89. Like, you watch Civil War as an adult, like, you can watch on like 3 different levels. Like,
yeah.
So some of this shit has matured, homie. Like, it worked. What you're talking about worked. Like, it's just, I don't know. Like, he feels like there's been some sort of bastardization. Like Martin Scorsese, it's diluted the rest of cinema. Now, I will say it's diluted like the big box office shit, but now you no longer need a blockbuster budget to make something like Jaws. You don't need a blockbuster budget to make something like Godfather. That shit didn't go away. It's still around. It's just it's more in the direct video market. It's more in the indie market. And they're not looking there. They're looking at the headlines, and it's like, of course you're going to see the fucking common denominator in the box office. That's what it is. It's for the masses. Right. Like, it's
the general public. It's not going to be, you know, focused like you and me into the geek superhero stuff,
right,
or even into the more, you know, independent style of film, television. I mean, honestly, even comics.
Yeah. It's not going to be a reflection of that. It's you know, everything's
You're looking
niche.
They're talking about the 80%. That's what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Is the 80%, not the 20%, or even the 10, even roughly down 5% that want to look for anything in between the cracks.
Right. Exactly. I mean, you look at Logan, like that's a mature thing, and it was done on like a, you know, a middling budget. You look at, of course, the Avengers, like they put $500 million into it, and they got $1 billion back or whatever. Like, looking at the whole thing overall. But it's not as if, like, Oscar-worthy stuff went away. I mean, look at Parasite. You know, look at Arrival. Like, I mean, these are some middling to bigger budget things that agreed with the critics, you know. And, I mean, like, I don't know what they expect. I don't know what they want to see. Like, they want to see The Godfather again? Homie, you tried that with The Irishman, Scorsese. Like,
yeah,
it didn't. Like, that's not exactly.
You're not going to recapture that. That's the thing that people need to stop trying to do, is recapture something.
Yeah.
Because you cannot recapture something like that. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, and it's gonna evolve. You know, you look at the difference between Godfather and Goodfellas. Like, there was an evolution there, and then ever since, in my opinion, there's been something of a de-evolution. He tried to, like, branch out with Shutter Island. It was good. I liked it. I mean, I don't know how successful it was, but, I mean,
it was about mid-level success.
Yeah, and I'm sure he blamed, like, a superhero movie for that. But it's like, after a while, like, the shit they're talking about, it's out there. It's just more on video on demand. It's more on streaming and stuff. You got to look for it because it's niche culture. Everything's niche now. What you're going to see in the box office is either the highest budget of all this shit, or you're going to see, like, what agrees with the
masses for the moment.
Yeah. Okay. I just realized your camera died.
Well, still got my audio.
Yeah, you still got your audio.
Okay, then it'll be fine.
Whoops.
It'll be just fine.
All right. Oh, whoops.
This is a can video anyway.
That's true. Okay, so let's actually, we could probably stop it here. We'll do more paranormal stuff on the next one we do like this. Got to figure some stuff out. So
This is gonna. Sorry, I got myself a little involved into the whole, which isn't really, you know, ghostly. It's more or less just stab.
Hey man, you know, call back to, you know, he's a dead eye. It's pretty paranormal.
That's true. That is true. Rose from the dead, boys. Rose from the dead.
Nice. Well, thanks for tuning in, everyone. To another episode of the Snide Show. I don't know why I'm turning into Rick. Morty, the Snide Show. Something's got to be done about your kids.
Thanks, guys.
Stay snide.